You push the door open as it creaks on its hinges. It takes your eyes a moment to adjust to the dim light inside. A small fire burns with a cauldron over it, bubbling with a slow bloop, bloop, bloop. A sulphurous smell comes to your nostrils along with one of rot and decay. You see corpses hanging from the rafters drying, a tanning rack out with a hide upon it, and this pile of rags and leaves in the corner. And you hear this voice that just sends chills up your spine. Well, hello, dearie. Hi there, I'm Dr. Megan Connell, and this is Psychology at the Table. This is the first video in a short series we're going to do about bringing emotions into your game, or how to have emotional content in your game. Now look, not every game of D&D needs to pull on your heartstrings or be an emotional game. It's one of those things of there's no right way to play D&D. This is just one of the many techniques you can use to create a game for your friends. So like any other topic that we have in our games, we want to make sure it's something that our players want to play in. So it's a great session zero topic to bring up and to get the consent of your players to have an emotionally driven game. Things that we want to have consent for during session zero are specifically more kind of out there gaming topics. So things like emotionally driven games, when we're going to do the unexpected, horror games, games where there's a lot of politics, so a lot of backstabbing, maybe you can't trust all the NPCs, just those types of topics. When we're having our session zero, as the dungeon master, we want to communicate to our players, all right, this is the type of game I want to run. Is that something you want to play in? And look, with consent, it's not just simply saying, I want to run an emotionally driven game. Is that something you guys are all cool with? Because pretty much everyone's going to go, sure. You want to really explain what you mean. And so when I'm talking about an emotionally driven game, what I'm meaning is, hi guys, I want to run a game where we delve into emotional content. I really want us to focus on the emotional growth of your characters, helping them expand their worldviews and push their emotional boundaries. This might mean at times you're going to feel what your character's feeling, or there's going to be some really hard parts for your character where things are ambiguous, it's not clear, it's going to be uncomfortable, but I think in the end it'll be really fun and uplifting and a great way to play. Is that a game you feel like playing in? We want them to understand what to expect, what it will look like, so that they can reasonably say yes or no. And again, if people say no, that's okay. Not every play style is for everyone. There's a couple of things that we want to think about with emotional games. One is, like I talked about, those more emotional themes where you're focused on characters' emotional growths. Now, I think any long-term campaign, there's going to be emotional growth for characters. Because if you think about the impact of a level 1 character versus like a level 15 to 20 character, it's a really big change. And so you kind of have to grow as a character doing that. But not necessarily. You might not. You might just be in non-stop dungeon delves from level 1 through level 20, and so there really isn't that much room for emotional growth. But most games will have a little bit of it, but in games where we're emotionally driven, that's the primary focus of it. The other thing that we can see is trying to help characters or players feel what their characters are feeling and how to narrate that in a way that allows the players to experience those emotions without taking away their agency. And that's something that can be a little bit of a delicate road to travel and balance to do. But again, we want to make sure our players get consent and that it's something that they're going to enjoy playing. And then we want to make sure we do it as well as possible. In the coming weeks, we're going to be talking about how to do emotional driven games, talking about the narrative, and then also how to help your players feel what their characters are feeling, which isn't necessarily something for an emotionally driven game. It might just be something you want to do for a particularly big, important moment in your game. Well, anyway, I hope this video was helpful to you, and as always, let's make space at the table for everyone.